Say what? Hey guys, I've been looking forward to this deck tech. We're on Deadwalkers, and while I'm just breezing through this deck for the people that really don't give a damn about what I think about the deck, they just want a good deck build with Deadwalkers so they can go and play some games. They don't want to hear some dumbass talk about the deck. Alright, that's the deck, 24 lands. Anyway, so I think that this is the second best deck in the game. In close contention with the first, I think Dodge and Burn is the best deck in Duels of the Planeswalkers currently. So, with all of these people playing Dodge and Burn, and Deadwalkers being tier 1, and a lot of cards being semi-bad for Avacyn's Glory, I think Deadwalkers now takes the cake as at the number 2 spot with Dodge and Burn in first, because Dodge and Burn actually has trouble dealing with Deadwalkers. I think it's a favorable matchup in Deadwalkers' favor, but I still think it's second. Deadwalkers is. Anyway, so 3 Gravecrawlers, absolutely what you want to be doing turn 1, casting a Gravecrawler. If he dies, he's coming back soon, trust me. Of course, all of Avacyn's Glory removal is bad for this deck, but anyway, obviously if he gets exiled, he can't come back from the graveyard. So, run all 3 of them. They're incredible. Diregraph Ghoul, I don't know if there's a lot of people hate this card. This card's great. I mean, it's a 1 mana 2/2. You're not. I mean, pretty much it's a 1 mana with Summoning Sickness you can't block with. Think about it like that. It's a Phantasmal Bear with no downside. Think about it like that. All of a sudden, Diregraph Ghoul becomes a lot better. Obviously, this isn't the best top deck when you're behind on board position, but you're gonna have to get over it. All right, so going on for Lego Zombies, Quest for the Gravelord. I freaking love this card. You got the Lego Zombie coming out. It's a 5/5 black zombie giant creature, and that's instant speed. You can do it on your instep and swing in. Pseudo haste is always nice, and a lot of creatures are going to be dying with this deck because there's a lot of removal and a lot of chumps that are going to be happening, a lot of sacrifice effects, that sort of thing. Vampiric Tutor is a necessary evil, I think. I play tested a shit ton with this card. It's one of the most, it might be the most controversial include in this deck now. But if you're going to lose and you need a card to get you out of a sticky situation, Vampiric Tutor is that card. I don't usually cast this early game to go get me, like, say, a Lord or something, unless I really think it's pretty much just going to put me way ahead in the race, because it is card disadvantage. You're missing a draw step. So I guess, well, no, I guess you're not missing a draw step. You're discarding a card. Whatever it is, you're down on cards after casting Vampiric Tutor. But if it's absolutely what you need, then it's worth it, obviously. So moving on. Reanimate. These cards might have been the last 2 includes to be put into this deck. You know, save from Graveborn Muse and stuff like that we didn't have access to. But I really think that creature recursion with this deck is really nice. It goes good with Butcher Ghouls sometimes. Drolf's Messenger, obviously. Fleshbag Marauder, probably the best. And any of your Lords and any of their bombs. You know, if you're playing Chant of the Moldiah, sometimes you can just lose a dick ton of life and get their Primeval Titan or something like that. If it's beneficial to you, run both of them. Headcase says. Butcher Ghoul, run 2 of these. They're necessary. They're not that good, but they have recursion. Don't be afraid to chump block and then swing in with your 2/2 on the next turn. That's pretty good play. It's a good target to sacrifice with Fleshbag Marauder. I like it. Run it. 3 Doomblades. I realize if you're playing in the Mirror, or if you're playing Lords of Darkness, or if you're playing Mask of the Dimir, or if you're playing Enter the Dracomancer. I mean, a lot of people don't play the last 2 that I said, but a lot of people play Lords of Darkness. I think that's going to peter out when the expansion becomes less new. And in the Mirror, yes, I agree, this card's terrible, but it's a really, really efficient removal spell. It's one of my favorite of all time, and it's instant speed. It's incredible as long as they're not black. So I say run all 3 of them. It's instant speed removal. You got to run it. For 2. Sign in Blood, very good. I think it's hilarious when you can win the game with Sign in Blood. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. This is really nice when you keep a hand with like a 1-drop and then like a 3-drop or maybe a 4-drop Lord like Undead Warchief, and you don't have the land. And this helps you, where'd it go? Sign in Blood helps you keep those hands and draw you some cards to hit the land drops. Mainly, I guess, to hit the land drops, but also to draw in some late game noise if need be. Sign in Blood's awesome. Lord of the Undead, not the best Lord in the deck, but it's really incredible. If you can get the Lord of the Undead Drolf's Messenger chain going, or Lord of the Undead Fleshbag Marauder chain going specifically, it's insanely good. The problem with this is it's bad in the mirror match, but it's a Lord for 3, and it gives your zombies recursion. Very good card. Drolf's Messenger, one of the best cards in the deck, especially with recursion. They lose a ton of life. Like, pay attention to how much life is lost from Drolf's Messenger, whether he's swinging in or whether he's Whether he's entering the battlefield, this guy gets it done. It's also a 3-2, which is fairly good. Fairly good, especially when he's getting buffed by cards like Death Baron. This card's really good. It gets you around giant things you can't take care of because it gives your shit Death Touch. It's another Lord for 3. You don't run any skeletons, but, you know, that's okay. Who cares? Fleshbag Marauder. Nutsack Marauder. This is my bro. I don't like looking at him. Like, I'm kind of looking off to the side at 38 unlocked there in the top left because he makes me uncomfortable to look at. This dude is grody looking, but he's incredible. He's really awesome in the deck. I've said incredible about 1,000 times, but this deck is incredible, so it's not surprising. Fleshbag Marauder. When he enters battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. It gets around Shroud, which is not really that big of a deal. He's really good, especially if he's recurring. I've said that a lot, but like I said, this deck's incredible, and it has recursion. So, Graveborn Muse, this is the last unlock for this deck. I couldn't believe it when I saw this card because I was like, this deck's already damn good enough. Like, why would you give me this? It doesn't need it. Thank you, though. I freaking love it. This Fire Hydrant that spews out cards needs to be capped at some point or you're gonna die. Because you're going to start losing a shit ton of life. Thankfully, Graveborn Muse is going to help you draw cards like Tendrils of Corruption, Consuming Vapors, and both of these corrupts, all which help you gain the massive life loss that you're going to be getting from Graveborn Muse. And also, said cards are going to be gaining the life by nuking this bitch, which I've done more times than I want to admit. I don't like killing my own creatures, but sometimes it's necessary, especially when you're running Graveborn Muse. Undead Warchief, I think, is the best Lord in the deck. It's +2/+1. More importantly, it's +2. It makes all of your creatures bombs. The artwork is really fucking weird now that I'm looking at it. Yeah. Whew. Alright, if you don't have the stomach to run black decks, I don't know why I'm even making deck tech about it. Get over it, Headcase. You could do this. That dude's grody. Kind of looks like your grandma. Get over it. Alright, +2/+1. Extremely good. And zombie spells you cast cost 1 less to cast is pretty relevant too. It allows you to play a couple zombies on a turn. It doesn't help with your Rolf's Messenger, unfortunately, but that ability happens to help out a lot. So run all 3 of them. They're the best Lord in the deck. Grave Pact is necessary. This card is awesome. I tutor for this card with Vampiric Tutor. I Vampiric Tutor for this card fairly often. Usually when I Vampiric Tutor, I'm going to get Tendrils of Corruption, Mutilate, or Corrupt. I don't think I've ever gotten Grave Titan that I can remember, but Grave Pact is, I get it sometimes when sometimes it's necessary, especially with all the removal in this deck. Sometimes you can just wipe their side, and it just makes it really awkward for your opponent to be swinging in, and really awkward to block, and really awkward just to win the game. It makes it really hard for them to do that. Grave Pact is awesome. Run it. Tendrils of Corruption, necessary for this deck, especially when you're running Graveborn Muse. It's incredible. I mean, this card, it was out. I don't know if it got released in M10. I don't think it did, but when I started playing Magic, that was during M10. Tendrils Corruption was like the bane of my existence, and that's because I didn't really understand removal. But instant speed, 4 mana, you gain a bunch of life, you kill a dude. Come off it, mate. That card's awesome. Maybe even better than Doomblade. I don't really know. I think it's done more for me than Doomblade has. So, moving on. Mutilate, sometimes you just need a valve. Just shut that shit down. Get all this shit off the battlefield. Suck on it. Mutilate. Run it. It's a board wipe. Always. You got to run that shit. It's awesome. Consuming Vapors. You gain life and you kill 2 creatures on most board states. So, not really much to say. Consuming Vapors is freaking awesome. Not to mention the second time it's free. So, I'm running 2 Grave Titans. I don't know why I'm seeing a lot of builds that don't run Grave Titan. You got to realize when this card was in Standard, along with the rest of the Titans, basically the rule was, for tournament level deck builders, which are better than me, if you ran black, you ran Grave Titan. I don't know about black, but if you ran like green or red, you ran Inferno Titan and or Primeval Titan. It just happened. Frost Titan, excuse me. If you're running blue, things like that. The cards were that good. They were that good. If you ran that color, you probably ran a couple of them. I can see not running a playset, but they gave us 2. This card is awesome. If you're somehow way behind on the board state, you're going to get back in it with Grave Titan. You're probably about to win the game. It's incredible. It pumps out zombies like a boss. I'm not afraid to throw a Grave Titan at somebody just to get the 2/2s out of him for 2 more blockers when you're really hurting on the board state. He gets you into games you're supposed to lose. Run this bastard. I love him. And finishing off with Corrupt, this is pretty much a staple in a pseudo mono black deck. This deck kind of has an identity crisis. It doesn't really know if it wants to be aggro, mid-range, or mono black control. I think it's probably more mid-range. It's just a good all-around black deck, and Corrupt is awesome in black decks. You gain a bunch of life, you either kill a creature or you win the game. Vampiric Tutor gets this card about 85 to 90% of the time for me, so this card is awesome. You got to run it. Run both of them. I think that's all I'd run anyway, so let's see. I haven't really thought about the cards that I don't run, just because this deck has been in its final stages ever since, well, Graveborn Muse came late. But I haven't really changed it much. Bloodghast, Vial Poison I'm not even going to worry about. Like I normally do with these, I'm only going to go over cards that are either controversial or, well, I guess just the controversial cards. Bloodghast is not a zombie. It's good, like in an aggro version, maybe. I didn't really playtest the aggro version too much, just because I'm really not a fan of Black Cat. Moving on to Black Cat, it's only a 1/1. The discard at random is disgusting. Like, that is ridiculous. That can, like, accidentally win you the game, but I don't really like random effects. I like to choose my destiny. Maybe that's a good thought process behind not running Black Cat. It's 2 mana 1/1. I just don't like it. With Recursion, it's pretty good. You know, the reanimates, it becomes better. I'm not a fan of the card. It's not powerful enough. Walking Corpse, no. Exhume, no. Shrivel, none of the staffs, of course. Grim Return, no. Death Cloud, no. Liliana's Reaver, on paper, it seems really good. With playtesting, this card came up a lot, and I could just never get in with it. It was taken care of a lot, and in my 4-drop slots, I just like my 4-drops. I like my Lords also, and I don't really see where this card fits in. So I ended up not running it. Avatar Ghoul, I think I might run over Liliana's Reaver just because of all the aggressive decks. It's really good against Abyssin's Glory, Mind Maze, Elves it would be good against. I don't run it. You can try running them. There's not a lot of flex with this deck. Like, I really like it how it is, so I'm not really sure. Yeah, on this one I think I'm going to be pretty stringent. Please don't fuck with this build if you trust me. Don't run those. Endless Ranks of the Dead is just way too slow. That card has won me so many games when somebody's played it against me. Vilborn Ghoul's not good. Farbong's not good enough. Cruel Revival is interesting, but it's instant speed removal. You gotta love it, and it gets you Recursion. It's just too expensive in my opinion. Mikaeus the Unhallowed doesn't affect the board state like I wished it would. I cut the Mikaeus whenever they gave us 2 Corrupts. I tried to playtest him a little bit more this week. I don't like him as much as I like just a simple Corrupt. He's a beast of a card though. 3 Nightmares. It's weird because in like a mono black deck you would think Nightmare would be beast, but there's so many other good cards. I can't find room for it. And none of these cards are worth talking about, are they? I try to run Demon of Death's Gate. Try to say that. THS. Can't do it. It's just not good enough. I don't like any of these cards that I haven't talked about. So that's going to do it for the deck tech with Deadwalkers. I feel like I'm giving y'all my child because this deck in Mind Maze is the one that I've playtested the most. Definitely the one I'm most comfortable with saying this is exactly how I would run this deck. And if you trust my deck builds, try it out. I absolutely love it. And that's going to wrap it up for this deck tech. And I'll see you later.